Hello, and welcome back, my friends. Habits here. So glad you're joining me. We're going to play some hardcore vanilla Minecraft and not even try to pronounce that splash screen word because I don't know what it's called. We can say toehold on eternity, though. That's our world, and we're getting in it. For those of you folks that joined in on the fun for the last couple episodes and are continuing in order, you already know we are hanging out in the end and are conveniently close to our return, which this portal is nasty. Look at that down there. Low and vulnerable. And we talked a little bit in the past, or at the end of the last episode. My still working theory is if you build a pathway straight back, you will eventually get to the island. It's just not visible in our rendered chunks. So, um, based on the configuration of our little ring of portals that have so far spawned from our dragon fights in the last two episodes, I suspect that going this way gets us closer back to the areas that we've already explored and discovered. It's another, I guess I could figure it out better with coordinates and all that kind of stuff. I don't care to a whole lot. Um, it's not that worth it, but maybe what we'll do is kind of swing on this edge until we find signs of our own activity and then veer off in the new direction. How's that sound? Good? Good. Let's do it. While we're running and, end episodes can take on a life of their own, either it's a long, kind of low key walk where we try not to get too lost and um, admire the repetitive trees, identical blocks, and crowds of Endermen. Or we find lots of cities and are constantly fighting shulkers and clearing stuff out and all that good stuff. So, yeah. What I would ideally not like to do is make a huge bridge just to get back to an island that we've already been at, right? That would feel a bit painful, but maybe this could do pretty well. Now let's jump across here. And again, I'm not speaking with any certainty on any of that, right? The island position and which direction we've already been. It's my understanding, but as far as I really know, that could all just be set up randomly. Oh man, let's try not to swing that. So it was hours and hours after I recorded the two episodes before I finally got the second one aired up last night. You all may have watched those in close succession or not watched them at all, but I'd recorded one episode on Saturday and had set it to release early on Sunday morning because I knew I was going to have a busy day on Saturday and wasn't sure what my Sunday was going to be like, but I knew I was going to watch some football and have some stuff going on later in the day. So I just wanted to have one kind of loaded and ready to go. And it ended up that I did have time and got to play some more. And as we were doing the dragon fights, I said, well, I'm going to do a second episode and we will, or then I'll just while I'm while I've got the football game on in the afternoon, I'll just let those two upload. So only when I came back to start recording the second episode did I realize that I had never stopped the previous recording. That's a new one on me. So OBS had just been running, excuse the hiccup, in the background. And I mean, it wasn't anything horrible. I was like banging I was stirring the crock pot because, as I said, I was kind of fun habbage cooking day. That's trouble. I think I've seen a few of these before. I never try, don't just expect that there's going to be ground beneath anything that you've already walked over. Let's just go here. Right? No, I think we're clear of the island. So anyway, first time for anything, I'd basically planned to just take a very quick break. I was cooking in a crock pot and, wanted to give that a stir, and I was getting up to go to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't particularly pleasant outside with the wind, and so I wasn't even going to go take a walk. So you basically hear these, like faint sounds of me moving around in the background, and it's just the title screen. I didn't even throw up a thank you slide. I don't know how I missed it so much, but must have just been a misclick on the stop recording button. Anyway, when I got back to start the next one, there was 5-10 minutes of just basically dead air on the end of the recording. I don't want you guys to have to, not that I'm, imagining that there's a ton of people that are waiting on the very last minute of some of my recordings. But for those of you guys that are, I don't want you sitting there going like, oh, okay, this is weird. So it finally kicked me over the edge, and after I'd done it, I do think I'd eventually found like a Windows tool to clip videos within the Windows OS, but it was not robust by any means. That was way back when I fell out of the roof of the Nether in Slow Cooker when we were working on the Gast Uneasy Alliance advancement. We were talking about that the other day. So anyway, I ended up, and some of you guys may, if you're creators yourselves, may be familiar with the DaVinci. Oh man, now I don't even know. Whatever it is, version 17 of their. I don't think it's Revolution. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's a video editing open source freeware. I don't think it's open source. They have a pay edition, a pay version, and they have a use it on your own edition. And I didn't do much checking into the reputability on any of this. My nephew uses it, and he's it's scary when you get to that age when it's like, wow, I guess I'm old now. I'm just gonna. When I was visiting over the early fall, like end of summer, really, I was checking out my nephew's computer and what he does, and he's. I don't think anything like this, but has a computer he's built and does some video editing stuff. I said, "Oh, what are you using for it?" He said, "Oh, yeah, you got to get this DaVinci." So I put it off and put it off. Here I am, 2.5 months later, 3 months later. Yeah, maybe I should should check that out finally. So what was a 10-minute clip, and which I probably trim, right? Not a clip, but like I needed to remove 10 minutes of the end of the video before I published it. That ended up becoming like a 2-hour process, at least, of first. Well, I mean, by the time the first video actually went up, it was probably 4 hours, because, if not more, because there was. We still got a lot left. there was a time to, I already knew the name of the tool and what I was going to get. After all that, I'm going over to this one, and this may all be connected. So I want to get over there, but since we don't have a straight shot, we'll come this way, we'll cut over, and then cut over again. And just for giggles, this is west. I think that is consistent all the way across with what we want to, the direction we want to be headed, and the direction we started out from. So I don't think I've gotten too turned around yet. I'd never bothered to look at which direction that was facing. But that's, I believe, consistent with the direction of, the side of the island we're leaving from. If all the directions aren't rotated, we're good. So anyway, back to the video editing story. So I downloaded the thing, and I had to do the install and all that. And it's substantial, and I already know it's severely taxing. My laptop is perfectly acceptable. It was an off the shelf quick buy when I had a failure in another one, which is usually how I end up with. I mean, it's laptops, right? Who builds their own laptops? So I had just got one that was within my budget, not a work one, no real justification. So it's not top end by any means, but it's perfectly fine. It's current. It's only, I don't know, maybe a year and a half old since I bought it. I don't know when it came out relative to all that. It does a great job, for this and some of the other games I play on it. I don't push it too hard. I know it's not a PC with super graphics or anything like that. And I'm sure there are plenty of things it would struggle with mightily. And generally, one of the things that you don't want to rely on a laptop for is video or resource intense processes like video editing. It's hugely consuming. Yeah, this just stinks all around. I'm worried that island is going to be right at head height and we're going to have to deal with it, but this should get us where we want to go. Ooh, really not cool with that either. So, it was, the download itself was pretty quick, and the installation of the tool and all that, not too bad. So then I opened it up, and I'm like, kind of know what I want to do here, but it doesn't make any sense. And that's a good thing, right? For I in the past, for those who don't know, and I haven't talked about it a ton, but I used to do a lot of photography, more as a hobby than I made some Christmas gifts and stuff like that, but I never sold stuff or anything like that. But it was a great reason to get outside, and got used to editing still images, and even at some points tried to. It was really just cracking the surface of going full-fledged Photoshop as opposed to like a paint.net. When I kind of moved on, work got busy, and I just kind of never went back to it at the same level that I had been when I was really working with it. So I am familiar with some of those pieces, and they. Long story short, I get to a YouTube video to get I'm like, what is the getting started pre-training, video, quick beginner basic training for this tool, and 16-minute video. I'm like, oh, that's great, and I found I was like, stopping dozens of times, just like, okay, for one thing, I like the trend that has the closed caption-y kind of stuff built into the videos. It's nice. Sometimes the voices aren't real clear, and this one was probably auto-generated anyway. You know, it was one of those types of videos. It was well done. Skills or something like that. I didn't really take too much note of it, who the creator was or the content. I gave it a like and moved on. But it had the captioning for the what was being said on the screen, and they put it across the bottom of the screen. But much like Minecraft, right? If you're covering up the toolbar, it's going to be difficult to see what the person is doing when you're watching if you don't already know. And in a training video of any of the kind like that, when you can't see the mouse pointer, you're kind of sunk if it doesn't go. And that would have been my one knock on the video was when I used to do any kind of training or anything like that. You know, the first advice that people who do make training videos and things as a primary function of their job, it's go slow. And so important when you're showing things on a computer because you think, oh yeah, I'm just clicking here, and you know that mouse really gets moving. And it can be tough to see where you're clicking. So anytime you make a click, you really have to emphasize what it is you're doing. And that was the part of, the biggest challenge. I understood, like a trim, that's not major editing complexity or anything like that. It's just a matter of, okay, I want to drag the edge of the video back to this point and use the whatever the correct thing is to make that part, the selected part, go away, right? As opposed to adding another clip or changing the playback rate or anything like that. I couldn't even get the file, like figure out what the technique was to get the file in and then start working. I mean, it's a new tool set. You gotta, the things that become so obvious that you don't even think twice about them are a real process, and that was what I had to teach myself basically. But I got it done. It was, again, nothing major, and I can see a lot of stuff that would be of a big help, and it begins to start knocking on the door of, well, I want to, I mean, I guess shorts are where YouTube wants everything to go, right? And I think that's kind of built off of TikTok, right? That's the deal. Is if TikTok is doing them all short, and that's what people are gravitating to right now, then that's what we're gonna do. By golly, right? Oh man, what's going on? Oh, don't you pop up like that. My finger's not moved off the shift key, but whew. Now I'm a little scared. But yeah, I think, from what I know that this format is not the most mass appealing to current audiences, but it is my playstyle, and um, it's like what I like to watch, right? I would love to see more and more of people showing their full playthroughs, and at least give the option, right? You can make shorts and highlights and all the rest of it, but show me what you did to get there, because what I may be working on or struggling with or curious about in my world is something that may not occur to you to be a question. And it kind of goes right along with this training video stuff, and highlight it, making sure to show people and go slow. And this is how I'm getting to the point where I open up such and such a file, or this is where you get to that menu. And be aware if your finished product is going to have captions over a part of the screen, if there's stuff underneath that you're highlighting and featuring, pay extra attention. Uh-oh. Now, are these disconnected? Because I see that torch over there. Which way am I headed? North. Okay, so maybe that is the first sign that we're getting close. Yep, because that's not on a bridge, and I haven't put any torches that weren't on bridges. So pattern kind of holds. Um, this is a small island that's at some edge of the area that we've already done. So that gives you an idea of the scale, how far out we've gone, and the island then would be way back, but our ring of portals is going to be kind of along that way. Good? Good. All right. Now, if we can avoid falling into the void. This was the one that got sloppy, right? Okay, back onto new ground. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I would like to do for now. There's, and I'm not promising anything. It's so much different. The amount of stuff that I do now, you guys can already tell. It's not a ton of extra overhead time. Time is for all of us. It's precious. We don't get endless amounts of time to do all the various activities in our lives. And at the moment, unless I've got a kind of planned activity like that where, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch a couple back-to-back football games and be around here and not be hanging out with other people or anything, and they're not going to be something that I'm just glued to the screen on, then I can work on doing some things. But I'm kind of thinking, um, kind of the best bang for my time buck that I could do to offer something that I think would be appealing to you guys and everybody else would be to start with kind of a periodic highlights, recent activity where for folks that an hour is too long an episode. You don't want to sit through all that kind of routine gameplay. We can start doing, okay, if you can come by once a week, this is the playlist for you. Check out these videos. I don't know if we're going to get from there to there. But if we can get to that island, then we can lop the top off it to refill our pockets and then go out to there. Sound good? Good. Um, so yeah, rather than committing to, or even beginning to try to start knocking out shorts, I think some kind of daily, weekly highlights or milestone videos where, like for the barn, I kind of go back through and pull little bits and pieces. The challenge that I foresee is, again, laptop, right? So that means I'm opening up multiple hour-long videos into the tool and trying to clip out little pieces of them and put them together. And maybe that becomes more easy as you go forward. Right now, I don't know that I'm going to do a whole lot because this really gets back to another question. These are all things I think about a lot, and for folks that have been kind enough to hang out around here and watch a lot of these videos over time and seen some of the other worlds, you already know. Um, the reason we're not playing in Slow Cooker anymore isn't that we died in that particular. We've died a lot, but not in that particular world. It was that I tried to move it onto a repaired PC that I have basically sitting idle. It's a few years old, but it was one that I built back in the day to be top end, and probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old now, but still. Which way did we just come from? We just came from there. Was that the same bridge? I don't know. Let's go. This is west. West. Woohoo! That's one of those things I could have edited out, right? No matter what, in all this talk and this topic, I'll be one of those folks that will always put up these videos just straight. If folks find that they want something that's no frills and long running that you can have up in the background and kind of follow along as you're playing your own games or, reading or doing housework or cooking dinner or whatever. That's what I, it's very rare that I'm like, I want to sit down and watch somebody else play Minecraft with my undivided attention. It's just not that appealing for me. What I want to do is have somebody that I think, has a play style that's similar to mine. It's going to go through and encounter similar type challenges and content that I would, and then, be able to kind of tune in and tune out as their wrangling was something that's something I would have or would struggle with dealing with. Then I kind of perk up, right? Hey, what are they doing there? And then if I can pause my game or whatever, I watch close and see. But the rest of the time, it's just fun to follow along and see others' worlds take shape. So that being the content that I like to consume, it's what I'm going to continue to put out there. But I do think, from an audience growth perspective and some of that, I've known from day one, and it's a little bit, man, I hate to say it, but it's a little bit laziness on my part. I want to create this stuff for you guys because I like playing Minecraft. Always have, well, for as long as it's been around, and I want to share the game that I really enjoy playing. But I know a lot of people do that, right? And I know there's so much content out there that it is tough to follow any world like this long term. And so I've known from the very start, I just didn't have those kinds of skills or setup yet to produce anything, that was like a short or an edited compilation. Because day one of the Habit channel is the first thing I ever put up on YouTube. This is not, hey, I rebranded a character, I'm going to start over again because, I was too silly in an old one, or I found out the hard way that, edgy content isn't lasting content. People get upset and word gets around. No, none of that. I'm just new and ignorant and trying to learn as I go and making the mistakes to prove it. I mean, just go find one of the several videos that feature a welcome or thank you slide or a notepad prominently for an hour of footage, and you'll see, yeah, this guy's barely getting by. And I still maintain a lot of that improves significantly if I can get back to the world of using the PC. And I suspect it's a peripheral thing, and I'm trying to get towards the point where I can justify an expenditure to prove myself right. I think I can kind of keep it stable and going on a single monitor. And while that would get me a lot more resources, and while I could at this point probably just record on the laptop and then dump everything over to it. It's not what I would like to eventually get to where I can record or stream on the PC at my desk in my office with big old monitors and be good to go. And I'd like to be able to do live streams, whether it's you guys that have been hanging around for ages or new friends on a streaming platform. Wouldn't matter so much, but um, I'm sure there are people that do it very successfully with, um, a single screen laptop or whatever, and they've got um, their chat in a phone or some other device or whatever. That's too much for me to reasonably expect I'm going to do. Um, but it is not too much. To think that if I can get the basics of a little more video editing over time on the laptop, that will set me up better if I do want to do. If I can get things stable on the PC and then move over, I'd be so happy. So we'll see. Um, but man, was it man was it slow. It was like I said, maybe half hour, 40 minutes to get the application downloaded and installed and running. Um, another hour, most of which was just how do I even go open a folder on uh, my laptop to get the source material. Where do I pull my video into this? And then once I have it, how do I just do a simple cut? And then there was the process of recompiling it. And this is where I'm not making any promises to do extra video rendering, right? Because at the moment, I don't have the fill in the death pit. I don't have anything else to put in, right? I don't. Someday, yeah, I guess a Habbage intro video, and that kind of stuff. Then it gets real easy to just tack that onto the front of my content. That's what the tool is for, right? But until I have such such content to add, I'm doing a whole lot more for a very quick fix. And then it was the video. I think once I'd trimmed it was about 56 minutes. It was that first episode from the second episode, I guess, from yesterday, part one of the bonus episodes, and it took I think 51 minutes to process out of the application to where I could then upload it to YouTube. And then it's another 20 minutes or whatever to get it uploaded to YouTube. So that's a lot of additional time just just to put up a video. And you know, um, I guess if that's your job, that's one thing. But when it's just a hobby and you're trying to make some friends and expand a little bit of a community and share back and forth, tough to justify too much. So we'll see. Um, we'll see how many of these I actually go into. But I think in the background, I may. Oh my goodness! I don't know if you guys heard that. I'm like stifling a yawn here. Um, in the background, I'll probably start doing some unrelated to this, just, short 5 minute type videos and trying to play around with them on a much smaller size format so I can kind of know, all right, this is how you do it. You get a list of steps and um, make those go and start playing around with, all right, this could be a good, 10-second intro that, instead of the blue slide or maybe featuring the blue slide that gets added in the video processing instead of me pushing buttons before and after the video within OBS on the fly, which would then minimize a lot of, man, here is, sorry, I can't move my hands, so I apologize for yawning there. I don't know why I'm yawning. Well, it's middle of the afternoon. It's much later than I normally do this because finally they came and did super leaf cleanup today, and I'd mentioned in the videos yesterday, I've been really fighting this whole daylight savings. Here comes another one. I'm sorry, I can't move. How do you yawn quietly? I'm sorry, guys. See, again, maybe I could mute that out somehow, but you guys are gonna get it so that you know what to appreciate how good it's gonna be soon. Um, you'll know from having had this video. Anyway, hang on, let me get a sip of coffee here. So after the evening football game, which I knew I was going to watch because, and not that it mattered too much because the Broncos were awful, but Raiders Chiefs has some divisional implications for the rest of the season for the Broncos. So I knew I was going to be paying closer attention to that than I would if it was just, Miami Jacksonville or something. I'm just picking names out of the air, right? That I don't know, that don't have a whole lot of bearing on my preferred team's playoffs stuff. I don't get it. So I watched all those football games, and I'm always good to start them. Not so good to finish if it's oh hey, how's it going? Is this a good game? Then sometimes I stay up late and regret it. If not, turn it off and wrap things up. Well, I mentioned yesterday that I have really been still waking up way too early and then going to bed, falling asleep, and trying to stay up, but still getting up early in the morning. So last night I stayed up late. I watched the whole game, then I watched all the late local news after the game. Then I turned off the TV and went and read in bed for a while, close to another hour or so. So it was significantly. I mean, some people may be up watching the sunrise. I'm not that, but it was after midnight. Finally, that I last was aware of anything and went to sleep. And somewhere around 4 a.m., the wind was just howling so loud. So that wakes me up, and then I'm up. I try to go, toss and turn, and like go to sleep. This is stupid. You need to sleep until at least 6 is kind of a good time for me. In the middle of the summer, I'll get up even earlier, but when the days are dark and long, getting up with hours of darkness ahead of you, that's not good. So I'm like laying there trying to go to sleep. Finally, I'm like, I'm just not falling asleep. Can't fight it, and that's usually what I do. Is if it's not working, don't get all frustrated. Sitting there squeezing your eyes shut and then saying, "Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep." Here we go again. These are out of nowhere. I don't know what. I waited. All right, so I woke up really, really early again. I tried to go to sleep. I couldn't. I got up. I was like, all right, well, I'll go in the living room. I wasn't willing to commit to like coffee or anything like that, but was a little glass of water, and then I turned on the TV. I actually watched part of a movie on Netflix, but then I fell asleep on the couch. Probably like an hour later, and the next thing I know, the leaf blowers are waking me up at 10:30 in the morning. Totally, like I felt great because I finally got like a good 7 hours of sleep or something like that. But it was in two pieces and not at all what I expected. Getting the 6:30 in the morning until 10:30 in the morning throws off your day completely. So that's a little bit what I'm fighting. And then we had I was like, okay, well now is the time that I do this. Leaf blowers are going, and I'd mentioned that it was like a snowdrift in the breezeway between my apartment and the other, kind of like right at our doors, all these leaves, and you kind of kick them out of the way, but I don't have a rake. I've got a kitchen broom, but it's not real practical to go sweeping and managing a bunch of leaves. So I'd just kind of been dealing with it for over a week, and they came through. Finally, it looks great, but then, it was the leaf blowers, and then they did the mowing to kind of clean everything up again, and then the garbage trucks were here right on the back end of that, and then I heard the leaf blowers going around because I'm sure they'd mowed away, but then they had to clean up the whatever minimal grass trimmings there were. So I don't know. We'll see if it gets back to normal tomorrow. But I apologize for the yawns. And try to get back to sleeping regular again. It's so weird though. Um, Normally I kind of lick those a little quicker. And I think now that it's like to name a thing gives it power, right? That's what they used to say in the old, some of the old animistic uh, religions. I don't know if animism is a religion per se, but you guys know what I'm talking about. We have just absolutely not seen anything. How are we doing on time here? 43 minutes. Are you kidding? Alternate a little water there. Come on, island. Still have plenty of blocks, at least, from our second harvesting of those. I need some RNG here. That was a mic adjustment, not a yawn cover. And yeah, sadly, the wind did die down after the early morning. The time I slept through that it's usually when I go out and do a good walk and enjoy the day. But the last couple of days have been so windy, and then this morning, as I was drifting off to sleep on my couch, I guess it was rattling in the chimney and the window frames and all that. It's really blowing, and it's one of those unique pieces of mountain living that the mildest temperatures usually are accompanied by these crazy winds. So we're looking at record temps today, pushing 70, and before the blowers and everything started, it was too windy to really be out and enjoying it. I don't know that any of that connects really. Let's go right here. Get this one maybe. It'd be nice to at least find a city that we could then come back and do in another episode. But yeah, I kind of thought I would have a couple of end city hunting episodes going today, but with the morning completely cut off and the no luck, I don't know. Pick an island, any island, right? Oof, I don't know if we got enough there. Let's clear this at least. Oh, we may have to make that bridge the beginning of the next episode. So did everybody have a good weekend? That's a question for the comments. You guys all doing well? Everybody enjoying a little bit of the fall season? Aside from the sleep factor, I had a great weekend. It was quiet. It was understated. And there's just flat out a lot of COVID and stuff going on. And, a part of me, I should preface all this and say I don't have a political axe to grind. I don't fall on a side. I think anybody that doesn't have an outlying medical condition or reason not to should take the vaccine. I mean, how many people have to be sick or die or anything else before people just stop being selfish? I get the concern and the general anti-vaxxing kind of the reasons for it. But the parents are concerned, what do we put in our kids and all that. But, the same people that get fired up about that particular thing because people have decided to make it a cause, do they know what ideas are being put in their kids' heads every time they go online? How closely is that being watched? I try to look at this as what I'm saying out here. I don't think would offend anyone in my family or anybody. I do put the caveat on there. Consider it PG-13. I don't try to go just gutter comedy or anything like that. and I don't make a habit of using off-color language, but it's a video game that I'm invested in, and there have been a couple times where either through kind of dread or I've let parts of speech slip that I'm not ashamed of. I personally don't think there's anything inherently wrong with any words, but I do understand there's a place and a time, and some people don't understand that place and time yet, or haven't had that experience. And if you hear me talking, just f this, screw that, that kind of stuff all the time, um, you may be inclined to emulate it, and I try not to do that at any time. But also, when I'm hanging out with my friends, they certainly were raised as I was, but it's a different generation than our parents and all that. And even in and among our schools and all that kind of stuff, the same language um, was out there. And you kind of find out as you grow up. Yeah, your parents have all to some extent been the same way, but not everybody. Some people, just some people make a real conscious decision not to swear or use words like that. Other people don't. But I remember one of my coworkers years and years and years ago, and I'm picking on her particularly. There's lots of people. I know my mom. Sorry, mom. She would she would say "darn it" instead of "damn it." To some extent, it goes to religious background, right? You're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain, and saying "damn it" is really just an abbreviation of saying "God damn it," and that it's Ten Commandments stuff. You can talk about how much influence organized religion has had on some of those kind of things over the years and all that, but that's a basic one. So um, she would say, "Darn it," and it. You drop something, you make a mess in the kitchen, you say "darn it." You're The intent there is the same, and that's kind of where I make the distinction. Is I don't care, but I'm not gonna go into a kindergarten or at a family dinner and say F this or whatever. It's just totally inappropriate. It's disrespectful to your hosts and the rest of the people around you. But if I'm hanging out with the guys, we're watching a football game and it starts going the wrong way, I don't think any of us would be too offended. It's how you talk amongst your peers, and how it came up, and the message received is, or the message perceived is the message received. It's in the audience. Is that offensive or shocking or anything like that? So you have to know who you are, and I don't want to offend any of you guys. So I try to keep it a little bit clean, um, but it can slip up every once in a while. So um, it's been a while though. It part helps that we haven't been too vulnerable with the good armor and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, though, I've wrapped this up, and we'll go back to the old school way. Here's the thank you slide live in the video. I can see it, you can see it, and we're gonna close out this one. I will come back, do another. No fancy edits or anything planned yet today, but I wanted to let you know it's coming. And I will try to, even if it doesn't have a direct impact on these videos in the near future, I'll start trying to work on that a little bit in the background and maybe improve some things so that um, if I can figure out a good way to pull those things out. And also, if any of you guys are experts or have done anything like this, or know where you go, if you know good tutorials, particularly with DaVinci, but on making compilations or managing or kind of the background. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that tool I don't know yet, and it'll take some time for me to figure that out. But I've used tools like that, like I said, and I am not going to be too intimidated by any of that. But the methodology, when if you make a weekly highlight compilation video or something like that, how do you manage that? Do you kind of make notes along the way that, oh, around 5 minutes of this video was where I found my first diamonds, if we're early in a world, right? And um, at 12 minutes we got down to a heart's health because a creeper blew up. I want to make sure that's included. That kind of stuff. Do you make notes? Do you go back through each video that you do and pull out little chunks and just kind of keep them in like a grab bag of video clips? That's the kind of stuff. If you guys know good resource videos or anything like that, here's my plea. Point me in a direction in the comments. I know the links and all that can get blocked. So tell me a creator to Google or look at on YouTube or something like that. I'd definitely welcome checking that kind of stuff out, or just in your own experience if it's really easy. Oh yeah, I do a handwritten list and then just go pull the clips from each video, or I clip them up and save the little pieces and then stitch them together later on. Just let me know what your thoughts are. I'm curious. Anyway, have a great little break. I know I plan to, but we'll probably come back because I would love to find a city and at least get 2 videos. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye now.